Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Shelby Thomas with the Ocean Rescue Alliance. Welcome to our monthly video series, which is every first Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, we're having a panel with Joyce Davis, who's the City Commissioner of Dania Beach. And we're going to have Evan Snow, our COO, actually hosting the panel tonight. So thanks for joining us today, and tune in for more of the Dania Beach project to come. Evan, if you want to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelby. Thank you guys for tuning in. For those that might not be as familiar with me as they are with Shelby, my name is Evan Snow, and I am the co-founder of the Ocean Rescue Alliance and the Thousand Mermaids Artificial Reef project. A very, very proud Broward native, and aside from the stuff with saving the reefs, I'm an arts advocate, community builder, creative entrepreneur, creative problem solver, who started a few Broward-based initiatives, including Choose 954, Art Fort Lauderdale Art and Design Week, Zero Empty Spaces, and a few other things that we do to cultivate culture and community here in Broward County. So I have an affinity for the Reef Project taking place in Broward, my native home county here. And Joyce and I have built a beautiful relationship now since she got onto the City Commission landscape, and I really have enjoyed and appreciated her energy, being forward-thinking, being progressive, and not your typical politician per se. But without much further ado, Joyce, why don't you give us a little introduction of yourself and your background and what brought you to the table here today?
Well, thank you, Evan, and thank you, Shelby. This is a wonderful and exciting privilege to be here to talk to you a little bit today about a passion that we both share, which is our ocean conservation. Hi, Dr. Donna. I see a couple of people that I know here on the call as well, so thank you for joining. I am the daughter of a preacher and a teacher. I am not your typical politician, as Evan says, but I did become an elected official because of my amazing parents. My father, who was a preacher, we had a church, and it was always important to give back to the community, to not just talk the talk, but to actually walk the walk. And some of you may be old enough, but some of you may not be old enough to remember back in the day where the government used to give out government cheese and peanut butter and things like that. So we were always there giving out and giving back to the community. And what my parents instilled in me was, it was important to always do your very best to make sure that everyone is always seen and heard. And my mother was one who was an educator, which I became an educator, and she always made sure that we were educated about nature. She loved nature. We had to go on nature walks and learn all of the trees and all of the plants, the milkweed, the Queen Anne's lace, and all of the wonderful birds and trees. But our favorite memories as children was going to the beach in Maryland. I grew up in Indiana, but we would go to the beach in Maryland. And one summer we actually got to go to the beach in Florida, and it was just an absolutely amazing experience. And I said, well, when I get big, I'm not going to live where the ocean is brown. I'm going to live where the ocean is blue, and I'm going to come and I'm going to live in Florida. And so sure enough, to my word, after I got, but Evan will to make you, after I graduated from the University of Maryland and I got my master's degree from the College of Notre Dame of Maryland, I said, I'm going to go live and I'm going to go teach by the beach. But my love for the community never waned. It was still a part of who I am. My love for nature never waned. And so when I moved to Dania Beach, I said, I only live 3 minutes away from the beach. And so I'm going to go to the beach every day. And I still go to the beach every day. But as I walked the beach for 15 years, I can tell you that I saw an increase of plastic pollution. I saw an increase of littering. I saw the animals being entangled in fishing wire and different things. And so this made me feel like I have to do something. What can we do? Not just sit here and watch our marine life and our sea life suffer like this. What can I do? And so, after talking to the residents and them telling me that they didn't feel that their voices were heard and that they didn't feel that the beach was being prioritized, I said, let me do something at the macro level and see if we could actually make some policy and do something that will not only help our environment, but that will also give voice to the voiceless in our community. And so for me, it was always about being a unifier, making sure that I was somebody who was going to represent the residents with pride, and to not be a politician, but to be somebody who really cared about the people, who cared about where we lived and how we could make our city the very best place for people to live, work, and visit. So that's just a little bit about me.
Amen. Very well put. And I can speak from experience that she is an advocate. And one of the things I guess we kind of share in advocating for the reefs, and also you advocate for the arts as well, is a lot of times the arts and the reefs are like out of sight, out of mind. They're kind of like the reefs are, our voices. They don't really have somebody except for certain government entities sticking up for them. That's what kind of drew me initially to want to advocate for saving this invaluable resource here in our backyards that unfortunately, most people that aren't divers really don't get to appreciate or understand the value of. Now that you've become a city commissioner and you are involved in many larger conversations, budget, Department of Environmental Resource Management, Department of Environmental Protection, what is the importance of our beaches and our reefs and our oceans, especially in a beautiful place like Dania Beach, from the city's perspective? Why are these natural resources valuable to us?
Well, the future of our ocean is at risk. Our coral reefs are dying at an alarming rate. And I think because people don't see it, they don't really realize how much our ecosystem is being affected. It's one thing to see it or hear it here or there, but how is it that we can truly bring awareness to what is actually happening under the ocean, how our marine life and our sea life are really being affected because their homes are being taken away from them. And so we have the unique opportunity for the first time in the city of Dania Beach to be Broward's first city and to take on a project with the Ocean Rescue Alliance as partners and say, hey, we're going to collaborate. We're going to do something together. We're going to make this happen, and we're going to do something that not only, is something for right now, but that is going to last in perpetuity. And so what we also wanted to do is make sure that we, for the first time in the city's history, as commissioner, I got to be a part of our strategic planning committee. And our city has its core values, and I'm very excited because on July the 13th, in our next commission meeting, we will actually be adopting our first strategic plan that took several months and several hours to do. And I will let you know that the beach and our ocean conservation is a top priority for our city, as well as the public art. So that's really what I love about the Ocean Rescue Alliance, is that you connect that art piece to the science piece and you put it together. And we just adopted our arts and public places
That's right.
ordinance on the 22nd of June. So it feels like it's all culminating together. It's a very exciting time in Dania Beach. We just had the ribbon cutting for the selfie tail at Dania Beach. So that's part, I really feel like that's part of our art and public places that brings awareness to what we're doing for the ocean conservation. And, and we've also installed our cleanup stations, which was my project, my baby. So we're moving, and we're moving in a way that people can see us moving, and the strategic plan will give all of the residents, and everybody in Dania Beach, what we want to accomplish in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 30 years from now. So we really have a true plan that we can, when we bring something to the table, we can say, hey, is that part of our plan? Is that something that we set as a priority for the city?
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And for anybody that's maybe tuning in that doesn't live in South Florida, or isn't familiar with Dania Beach, just south of Fort Lauderdale and Port Everglades, just north of Hollywood, one of the most pristine, cleanest beaches, thankfully, knock on wood. And one of the reasons why these initiatives, like the Bucket Project, which I'm going to ask you to elaborate on a little bit further in a minute, and why an artificial reef project and why beach cleanups are so important, is this is the way of life that people have not only become accustomed to, but have invested in. If you made your home, if you purchase a home, or even if you rent in Dania Beach, or if you've opened a business or own commercial property in Dania Beach, you're contributing to the city, to the economy, to the tax roll, to the budget, so that these projects can continue forward, so we can continue affording the way of life that people have come to know and love in Dania Beach, and that hopefully we can continue for generations on. But it takes strategic planning and it takes forward thinking. For those that aren't familiar with the Art in Public Places project, just to summarize, as an arts advocate who advocated for that project to take place or move forward, Art in Public Places is an ordinance that's passed in hundreds of cities and municipalities across the country, that essentially takes a small percentage, generally 1%, of new construction and new development. And there's obviously a lot of that throughout Dania Beach, throughout Broward County, and it's specifically earmarked to go to a public art project, generally to be seen at the site of the development. So at a place like Dania Point, it's a humongous development, and they're able to place sculptures or different types of artistic elements, which generally enhance the area and make it even that much more desirable to live. We shouldn't have to twist developers' arms to contribute to public art, but that's an ordinance in a way that the City of Dania Beach, Broward County, and many other municipalities throughout the state, throughout the country, have moved forward, and that AIPP program has helped contribute to moving forward the Thousand Mermaids Artificial Reef project to take place here in Dania. So we're forever grateful for everybody that supported AIPP and these forward-thinking projects. You did mention on it. I just want you to elaborate a little bit further. Could you tell us a little bit about the Bucket Project?
Evan, could I add to the Art in Public Places really quickly?
Sure.
Yeah, one of the things I was really wanting to mention, and especially you guys have really, the most amazing thing is you guys have been leading by example, just as you were saying, not just talking the talk, walking the walk, and planning and really investing back into your resources, and are really one of the first cities to get involved in backing these really important projects. And the unique thing with using that Art in Public Places is now we're creating art for impact, that we can still create these very beautiful land monuments that serve as really awareness projects to what we're doing offshore to conserve our resources. But more importantly, they're getting projects done that are backing restoration, creating fish habitat, and also creating a holistic site to connect and engage the community in very impactful ways, from not only education and citizen science, but it's really bringing the community back in perspective into engaging with these resources that desperately need protecting. So we're extremely thrilled and excited to be continuing to work with you all and really build up the community and hopefully expand to other art initiatives. And it's really incredible to use something as unique as the Art in Public Places for such an impact.
Absolutely.
Amen. And Shelby, coming from the science background as a marine biologist, generally has to rely on grants or a specific type of traditional institutional funding to fund projects like this. But with forward-thinking and progressive folks like Joyce, like myself, and all the other people that have advocated to move these initiatives forward, now it creates new opportunities that we are able to make an impact and not have to rely on grants and so on and so forth. And thankfully, Joyce has been very forward-thinking and helped move forward a wonderful initiative to help keep the beaches of Dania Beach even cleaner. Could you elaborate a little bit further, Joyce, on the Bucket Project?
Yes, so the initiative is called Dania Beach Pristine, and as a commissioner, probably my very first presentation was about the pollution and the plastic that we saw on the beach and how it was getting progressively worse. The fishermen were using balloons to fish, which obviously, hurts our sea life and our turtles, and they think it's jellyfish. So we had different I did a presentation showing all the littering. We had over 540 violations within just 6 months of just, you know, fishery violations and littering violations. That doesn't even include the dog violations and the unsanitariness of people allowing dogs, you know, on the beach when, you know, and actually having dog feces on the beach. But we're going to move past that. But it's part of, you know, keeping the beach pristine. You know, Dania Beach, when I went into the manager's office the very first day, I said, we have 700 feet of beach, 700 feet that just really belongs from Dania Beach. And we're lucky enough to have a pier on this beach. So what can we do to keep this beach pristine? So I did the presentation for my colleagues for the first time. I met with Deborah Steele, who had done a similar project in Lauderdale by the Sea, and her company wanted to sponsor these beach baskets. And so we really, oh, there you go. And so we wanted to encourage people to just take a basket, take a basket, and just do 10 minutes, do 15 minutes of cleanup. And so for Earth Day, we had our very first Earth Day cleanup, and I see you guys did one too. So thank you so much for participating and using our baskets. But the very first time that we used them, we had over 250 people to come out, different schools, different organizations. And it was truly one of my goals, and will continue to be one of my goals, that unified the community, because we had every age group, we had every families, we had all different people who were all united in one event to make our beach pristine. And I think that's it's one of our strategic plan. It's one of our core values. And I think the Thousand Mermaids project is another kind of project that will unify the entire community. These kinds of projects that make our beaches pristine and that bring awareness and education to the harmful effects of our coral reefs dying in our ecosystems, that when we really come together and collaborate and not have competition and division, that this is something that speaks to an entire community, because it is about our future, and it is about the future of our kids, and making sure that they have a wonderful that they have beaches, and that they have a wonderful ocean that will continue to contribute as we go forward. So for
Amen.
me, it was just something that's very exciting. And I think that as long as we continue to do these kind of projects, that the entire community can gravitate to, that's where the direction that we need to go.
Absolutely.
Amen.
I think that really adds to the point that every single individual can help, and you guys are really enabling pathways that people can make an impact and connect together as a community to help restore our resources and maintain them. And I think that's incredible. We need this all across Florida's coastlines.
Yes, so we have to be louder, and we have to expand.
Keep it spreading.
Yes, we have to keep spreading the awareness. Absolutely, because I think when you feel it, it's in the energy, it's in the air, and people really feel like they're making a difference, and they are, you know, together. So.
And you mentioned her in reference, but I'm gonna give her a shout out, mention her by name. City Commissioner Ana Garcia is definitely one of the most impressive city managers that I've seen anywhere. And also couldn't go without mentioning Commissioner Lauren Amman, who initially, when we were having a meeting to discuss art stuff, Commissioner Amman and City Manager Garcia and my partner, Andrew Martineau, they saw the bigger picture, the impact and potential. For those of you guys that see the project as an art project, or you see it as a restoration project, different people see it for different things. Some people are more interested in the ecotourism elements of it, of the fact and ways that we're able to drive economic impact to dive shops, hotels, which then spills over to the restaurants and to the Ubers and to various other businesses locally that help contribute to the local economy, which also, as I alluded to, then trickles back and increases the tax base and allows the city to do more things. Some people are more focused, like Shelby, as a marine biologist, on the core restoration benefits and saving the reefs so we can protect this $7 billion economic driver in Southeast Florida alone. And then there's, people that just want to go recreationally to dive and like to have a more attractive dive site versus seeing the dead reefs. But Commissioner Davis, if you could tell us from the city's perspective, some of what the goals and objectives are by making the investment and the partnership in the Reef project. What are you guys kind of hoping that the project is able to do for the city?
Well, thank you, Evan. And I would be remiss if I did not give credit where credit is due. I'm not one of those people. And so Commissioner Ottman and our city manager were the leads on this and began this project. I got to come in on the fun part where we, get to choose the modules and see what's going to be there and the turtles and the mermaids. So I got to come in on the fun part, but it's truly a passion of mine and I support it 100%. But Commissioner Ottman is definitely the liaison and our city manager was just phenomenal with doing things step by step to get things done. So, but I think as a city, your question was pretty much about where the direction and the collaboration, where we see it going. We just see that there's limitless possibilities for partnership and future projects and research with organizations, like the Ocean Rescue Alliance. What we have done is partnered with our Chamber of Commerce in order to expand and put it out there to our local businesses, people who have our businesses who want to have their businesses to contribute and say that they're a part of this team collaboration, that they're a part of ocean conservation, that they're a part of protecting our marine life, that they can purchase, different items and they can have their company's name on it. And that brings them together with our local businesses. But then we also have where we see limitless potential for corporate donors, for residents, and it's even spilled over. And I think Commissioner Ottman has it as a memorial as well for people who have passed away. So there's so many different ways that we can continue to partner, that we can continue to educate. And these are the corals that I would, the fragments that I would see wash up after a major storm. So you can literally physically see it and I capture it and it made me, say, hey, this is something that we really, really need to call attention to. So I'm just so grateful to the Ocean Rescue Alliance and Evan and Shelby and Stacy, the work that you guys do on a daily basis, because this need is truly a dire need and we really need to bring everyone together. From the businesses to the individuals to the schools and communities to help to contribute. So we see it as a global, it can even go to a global level, but we see it right now as something that we're starting, that we're the initiators. And what we would like to see is for other cities to, tag on to it. We're not going to say we want to be the only ocean reef. No, we want Hollywood to do it. We want everybody to do it. Everybody jump on board. Let's work on these 1,000 together, because together, then that means that, we are even saving the businesses, the business development. It helps with the erosion, all those different kinds of things. So we just want to make sure that we're supporting and that we can continue to be the leaders of this kind of initiative, and hopefully it will catch fire with other cities and other municipalities.
Yeah,
amen.
Absolutely.
And actually, it's not a secret. Dania Beach's proactiveness to move the conversation forward at a rapid rate, if I may say so myself, for having seen things move very slowly through various city commissions. The way that you guys took such an interest in the project and moved it forward actually did propel the city of Hollywood to begin the process at a slightly slower pace, but it's actually kind of coming to full circle now. And we are going to have some conversations with the city manager's office and potentially look at some of these joint Broward County based reefs that will stretch from South Broward potentially all the way up to North Broward we proposed, some of you guys that have been following for a while might recall the $10 million reef that we initially put out there. It's a little ambitious, but you know, we like to shoot big.
As well as to the west coast of Florida too. I mean, we really hope to expand not only through Florida, all the way up to even New York. We have a lot of different module types that also help with coastal resiliency on reducing wave attenuation. So the really good goal is to also expand internationally, especially in island countries that are desperately needing some of these coastal resources to help protect their coastlines, but also really help restore their ecosystems as well. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, is it can really get caught on and inspired, and collaboration is key. And we're so excited for you all to be the first ones in Broward County, and hopefully we can expand throughout South Florida. And I think that the greatest thing to do is, you know, take that shared accountability perspective. That's historically been the hardest thing with restoration projects. As Evan mentioned, me with the science background, I typically am used to applying for grants, and that's always limited funding. And so when it comes to coastal protection, there's a lot of other resources that are allocated for beach renourishment, which is where sand's dredged offshore and is brought onshore. And really, that's typically a Band-Aid approach, because the storms come, wipe that sand right back out. But as you guys know, it's very costly to invest into coastal infrastructure. So you have to make it a shared resource and a shared accountability. And so the beautiful thing that we're trying to do is using art as that catalyst to connect the community, but also open up those opportunities for corporate responsibility, where corporations can create their own unique reef, cities and counties can create their own unique reefs that connect the community, help engage ecotourism, but more importantly, get these projects done now in more creative and enhanced ways.
Amen. And to piggyback, to segue to our last question off of the business involvement, Commissioner Davis has been very gracious with her time and support of mutual shared passion of ours with the arts at the Wiener Museum of Decorative Arts, where we've participated now in half a dozen events, it seems like, or so, at this phenomenal institution in Dania Beach, right off Federal Highway, where we have our mermaid tail selfie station on display, and they bring us in for certain events alongside Commissioner Davis to talk about the project, to educate the public, to raise awareness. What do you feel, Commissioner Davis, is some of the impacts that we're able to generate? I know we've been able to drive traffic to the Wiener Museum, even some of the venues that we're talking about having fundraisers at, driving traffic to places that people have never seen before, or maybe have never been to before. But what are some of the other impacts that you would like to see more from the private sector perspective, with like us supporting the Wiener Museum of Decorative Arts and some of the other local institutions like the Tiki Bar?
Well, I mean, yeah, you pretty much said it, Evan, but I think that it goes back to networking and collaboration, and, you know, in each one teach one, each one help the other one. Dania Beach, our major goal is to become a destination location. We have these little hidden gems in our city, and the Wiener Museum of Art is, you know, of Decorative Art, WMODA, is one of those hidden gems. And we call it a diamond in Dania Beach because we want it to shine. We don't want it to be a hidden gem, but once you go in there, you're completely awed about the things that they have in the museum. I have an organization, Pearl Girls, that's a girl bullying prevention program. And over a year ago, I took the girls there for a Christmas party, and they had their little Christmas hats on, but they took rubber and recycle trash items. It was different kinds of plastic and different kinds of trash, and they made jewelry and they made bracelets from it. So it was really teaching about reduce, reuse, recycle, and being able to create something, you know, long lasting and beautiful instead of polluting our beaches. These are the different things that we're able to do with it. And so it was an educational piece, and the children have lived here all their lives and have never gone to a museum museum, 2 minutes away from them. So I think not only from, an educator's perspective, but then also, there's so many businesses who don't know. And what they do is they recommend different restaurants. When people come into their museum, they say, oh, well, where should we eat? And then they'll say, oh, go to my cafe or go to this place or go to that place. So I think that when we have, like Shelby was saying, a shared accountability, but also a shared responsibility to say, hey, these are the things that we're offering. These are the things that are unique and one of a kind. This is how we all move forward together. That's when we really see the growth and the potential that our city can have.
Amen. Well put. And it's not, when we say ecotourism, clearly there are people that are going to be traveling and staying in the hotels and renting cars and using Ubers and dining out that are not part of our local economy, but we're also supporting the local economy, which once again, and I think a lot of people, it's out of sight, out of mind for them, when you go to the museum, which is based in Dania, which pays taxes in Dania, you are supporting that business, that institution, and through their taxes back to the city is able to do more things. And the best way I kind of summarize this, generally as it relates to art, nobody wants to live in a dark, gray, desolate place where there's no arts and culture, there's no life, color, and vibrancy. You want to live in a place where there's cool things to do. And thankfully, with the 1,000 Mermaids Artificial Reef Project and the Ocean Rescue Alliance, we've been able to collaborate with some really great local businesses, including the Wiener Museum, including our dear friend Lily Skipper, including starting to do stuff with Dania Point more often, and really starting to get the community engaged now that we're thankfully getting back into live events as we get to this post-COVID world. So we're really grateful for your suggestions and recommendations for businesses that we can reach out to host fundraising dinners, which then again will bring people to new restaurants and new venues that they might not have ever been to before. I had never been to El Rancho, which you recommended, a beautiful place, and be glad to support them and put some money in their coffins as well to support the local economy. So it's a beautiful thing. It's definitely a small town feel, but one of the greatest things I like about Dania, it's very inclusive. Everybody's welcome. If you could just, last question.
Let me say something
anything,
before you ask me
please,
a question, because I want to give a shout out to Louise and Kimberly from WMODA, and that they also have the mermaid scavenger hunt. And I did also take my group back there for the scavenger hunt. So not only did they just, go around and find mermaids in the museum, but they also learned about the importance of the art pieces, and the one that was part of Annie, the original movie. And, they had seen that. And so they were able to make those connections. So I just want to, and they had the first selfie tail in there, and the kids loved going in there, and they loved, being part of that immersive process. And so just like how we want to conserve our ocean from the inside, from the coral reef preservation to the outside with the Pristine, we also want to do that with the art. And we want to have the art from WMODA, the inside, but we want to bring it to the outside with our art in public places. And the more that we work together, I think we're going to be able to accomplish those goals. So
yeah,
I wanted to
absolutely. And they still have the selfie tail. And then for those on the call, if you're not aware, you can also visit the new selfie tail for Dania Beach at the Dania Beach Pier. So you can go and take a selfie at the museum or right on the beach in Dania Beach. So go take a picture and tag us. But we'll let Evan get to the last question.
No, which leads, thank you very much, which leads very well to the last question. For anything that maybe we left out, or maybe anything from the city's perspective, not just related to the reefs, but I know, we're very big on Choose 954, but why should people choose Dania from your perspective, Commissioner Davis?
Well, because we are the best city in South Florida. No, we are. We are in the middle of a renaissance. Dania Beach has a long history of, having a lot of history, bring Broward's first city, but I think we are truly in the middle of a renaissance right now. We have so many wonderful projects coming to our city. We not only, your project with 1,000 mermaids, but we have new development. Dania Point is exciting. We have the night market there. We have new restaurants coming out, and we're just in this beautiful renaissance moment that we have a great balance, I believe, of being welcoming, being a very welcoming community. We have that love thy neighbor as thyself kind of attitude, but we know that we're growing, we know that we're expanding, and we have limitless potential. To go to the Port Everglades Association luncheons and seeing all the wonderful advances that are going on with the port and their new master plan. And, we're back out to sea. So we have 95, we have 595, we have the beach, we have the port, we have it all right here in Dania Beach, where you can see it, live it, and love it.
Amen. Love it.
That.
Great tagline. You could find some beautiful new signage and installations all throughout the city, and definitely a great message, definitely a great logo, definitely great branding, definitely a great city. For anybody that would want to further connect and engage with you, you want to give them your social media or email address?
Yes, you can email me at jdavis@daniabeachfl.gov. You can call me 219-670-1066. I still have my Indiana home roots phone number there. But you can find me at Joyce L. Davis on Facebook, or Joyce L. Davis Dania Beach on Instagram, or Davis for Dania Beach is my page. So I just want to thank you guys once again for partnering with us and bringing this amazing project to our city. Let us know how we can continue to support your efforts, and we look forward to our continued partnership.
Phenomenal.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Joyce. And we're looking forward to the deployment, and we'll have more event announcements soon. The weather, everything's weather dependent. So we'll be working with the city to coordinate the deployment dates. So everybody feel free to stay tuned to our email list or our social media and websites for more Dania Beach deployment updates. So we're hoping to deploy very soon. So tune back, and thank you so much.
And Shelby has an update she wants to share, or I'd like Shelby to share. I'm sorry, I didn't tell her this, but we've been part of some really great progress, and I have some images up here, Shelby, if you want to maybe just let people know what we're looking at and what we hope to be a part of.
Yeah, so as many of you guys know, we do a lot with coral restoration on natural reefs as well, not just artificial. And these ones are coming from different nursery cultivated corals. So we work with different nursery practitioners throughout South Florida. And we're just part of one of the largest coral outplanting coordinated efforts with 6 different organizations, including University of Miami, as well as Moat and the Rescue Reef, and FWC coordinated the whole entire outplanting. But we outplanted 6,000 corals in conjunction with these groups. We provided the coral lock bases that you can see in those photos. And this restoration project really focused around assessing stony tissue loss disease that's been really destroying and decimating a lot of our reefs and impacting a variety of different stony coral species. So we're really excited to get those 6,000 corals out with these different teams, and currently monitoring them. Each group's monitoring their portions of outplants, but you can see some of these photos. This is a really big advancement. We're starting to put these artificial structures out on natural reefs. And this is really beneficial because typically it can take quite a long time for some of these smaller coral fragments to get to this base size. Or as you guys might have seen, I actually have it right here. If you can see my photo in the corner, we actually outplanted these bases in Carey's Fort in Key Largo back in December. And this was, again, focusing on boulder coral species. So instead of outplanting one fragment that can take decades to get to this size, we put out the same genotype, same genetic clone, where they can fuse together and create a larger, more reproductive coral. So this is very important because now we're really needing to get corals reproductive after we outplant them to really combat disease and continue to rapidly grow. So this was one of the biggest outplanting efforts coordinated ever in Florida. So we're really excited to be a part of it. And we're getting excited to be able to outplant corals right at Dania Beach as well. As you can see, Evan's pointing to the module in this photo, which has coral lock receivers embedded. Now we outplant a different type of coral. Essentially, we use corals of opportunity, which are essentially from mitigation projects. If you all are familiar with the Osborne Tire Reef, we're actually going to be taking corals off of that tire reef from the tires getting removed, and we're going to be able to outplant them on the structure. So it's going to be a very large rescue and recovery relocation of corals project that will actually be placed right on the Dania Beach Reef once it goes out. So we're really excited to be partnering with a variety of different local environmental groups, and there'll be a lot of ways to engage beyond this project on land to help us outplant coral, monitor the reefs, and continue education. And you can come out and see it for yourself. And just as Joyce mentioned earlier, if you're a local business or as an individual, you can help contribute to different plaques that we actually are able to outplant coral right around. If you can see in that top left photo, that circle, we're able to actually create a plaque and outplant coral around it. So lots of ways to engage with us and follow along for some of the coral restoration and research that we have ongoing this summer.
And this is when we were alluding to previously about certain entities and organizations have certain interests. Some are more interested in the ecotourism benefits and generating obviously much needed revenue that supports the tax base and supports the local hospitality partners. But from the restoration perspective, really on the cutting edge of coral outplanting, microfragmentation, coral restoration, working with top coral restoration practitioners. So while this reef to the left might not necessarily have a sculpture on it, it does have a few plaques and insignias on it. These are environmentally beneficial, not just for the benefit of being able to outplant the coral, but if you notice these interstitial spaces, these are the houses, quote unquote, for fish that provide habitat, something that our reef builder, Chris O'Hare of Reef Cells, has always been very big on. And Shelby, if you could just maybe elaborate for those that are interested on the benefits, the other benefits of our reefs aside from coral outplanting.
Yeah, so I'll expand on that. So we don't only put out art sculptures, so we essentially build these different biologically complex reef modules. We really like to create habitat space that mimics natural reefs. And the importance of that is we're creating this complex space of microhabitat. So smaller fish species in different life stages actually have homes, because typical artificial reefs are normally construction pilings, limestone boulders, or ships. I like to normally call it trash of land, unfortunately. And really the problem with that is it's not mimicking natural reef structure. There's no interstitial spaces for those smaller fish species to take refuge from larger fish. And typically it really attracts larger fish species, and inherently it can actually increase catchability of some fish species as well on these reef structures. So what we really primarily focus on is creating reefs that mimic natural reefs. So we'll be putting out actually more biologically relevant modules versus sculptural, but that's what's really beautiful is we can create these sites that have different types of structure, so you can actually see more fish biodiversity, and it's really beneficial for the marine environment.
Amen. So it's the gift that, amongst other things, it's the gift that keeps on giving. There's countless benefits. We haven't even gotten into mitigating beach renourishment and wave attenuation and countless other things that thankfully these reefs will provide. So with that being said, we're truly grateful for the support of the City of Dania Beach. For those of you that might not know, I've been working at this for about 4 years, and it's been very interesting to have our first city in my native Broward County, Dania Beach, see the value, see the vision in the project, and step up to the table with government funding, which is ultimately what is necessary to bring these projects to life. It'd be great if we, had a funder. It'd be great if we were able to, raise millions of dollars of donations. But ultimately, now that you guys kind of understand the bigger picture of how tax revenue and tax bases can support, local cities and initiatives like this, these are the steps that are necessary to have change happen. And the last point I'll just make about how artificial reef projects can really change the game for a destination like Dania Beach. Cancun in Mexico was not always a well-known, diving destination. And there's a public artist, a sculptor, that started putting artificial reefs, underwater sculptures, down there in Cancun and made an underwater museum. And it diverted significant amounts of the diving traffic to this site. And now it's an international diving destination. People travel to Cancun to go see this site. And that's some of the inspiration that led to the creation of this Thousand Mermaid Artificial Reef project initially, that we want to use art as a problem solver. We want to use art to raise awareness, to raise the public's perspective about the issues that are out of sight, out of sight, out of mind for so many people, so that hopefully somebody like myself, who's not a diver, who's not a marine biologist, who, you know, admittedly did not know what was going on in our oceans and the issues that were plaguing our reefs, now I care about it a little bit more. I encourage people to watch Chasing Coral, the documentary on Netflix. That was my aha moment, because as I mentioned, the coral reefs just in Southeast Florida alone are a $7 billion economic driver that support over 70,000 jobs, from sport fishing captains to the dive charters, to the dive shops, to countless other people in between. And also affect our way of life, not just if you live on the coast, but countless benefits and countless things that truly directly relate back to the reef. So hopefully, if you didn't know any of this before, or was out of sight, out of mind, now you'll have a little bit more appreciation for it. Maybe tell a friend to raise a little bit more awareness. If you want to find out more, you can log on to our websites, thousandmermaids.com, oceanrescuealliance.org. Strongly encourage you to follow us along on social media, follow along our YouTube pages. We've been very, very fortunate and blessed to have received some phenomenal press coverage, including most recently, you might have seen Shelby on a little TV show called Good Morning America. And these things are all parts of the puzzle and steps that are necessary to gain more support, to gain more people getting involved, so we can make a bigger impact and hopefully save this invaluable resource before it is too late. Does that pretty much cover it all, Shelby?
Pretty much. I mean, before it's too late, it is key. I mean, really, everybody can take action now. And just as Joyce mentioned, they're really being leaders in the field of conservation restoration. We need more cities and counties and individuals to engage. And you don't have to be a city or county to engage with us as well. You can help individually by supporting a plaque, adopt a coral. You can also create your own reef module, and also encourage your city officials if you want to see a reef in your area. We don't only focus on corals, we can also do oyster and mangrove restoration. So we really are expanding to other resources that also need to be protected and help with a variety of different ecosystem services. So everything we typically have done is always reactive. That's sometimes even with medical care, and we need to be proactive and preventative. We can't wait for our reefs to die to wonder where our fish are going to go. And we need to start creating habitat that really can support our ecosystems. So we're so excited to be continuing this relationship with you guys, and hopefully keep adding to the reef every year and really help connect and engage the community to make more impact and spread awareness. So thank you guys so much. And thanks for joining us today, Joyce. And
thank you. Thank you guys so much. This was fantastic. Thanks for having me. And like I said, any way I can support you guys in the future, just let me know. And I'm sure we're happy to do it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop a question in the chat, or you could hop on and ask really quickly. And if you're interested to find out more about the Dania Beach events coming up, visit our websites for more information.